versus on a Monday. It's Monday, so let's get to it. D23 had many announcements. Was it a hit or was D23 a Disney dud? We have experts here to break it down, plus Borderlands Bombs at the box office, and Deadpool crosses 1 billion global box office. Experts and pundits are here. Your favorite folks. Let's go. Let's get things started. It's versus, so let's just go. Hey everyone, let's get going. So intro yourselves. Go.
Hey, I'm the script doctor. I'm happy to be here to diagnose all of Hollywood's problems.
Oh, here we go.
Yes. Oh, the check is cleared. Disney is saved.
Yeah, we did just have an earthquake in California. None of them fell, so I will be buying a lottery ticket afterwards. Let's go. Can't wait.
Hi, I'm Elaine at Nerd Cookies, and hey, it's awesome that they brought back Jeff Bridges for Tron Ares, but they better bring back Bruce Boxleitner for a triumphant return as Tron, or I'm gonna lose it.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Derek Anderson, the DA. Yeah, we had an earthquake in Cali. I think Grand Moff Tarkin was the only one that fell down on my side. But yeah, here to talk about Borderlands. I, like many of you, did not watch it.
Yep, Dante from Verbal Riot, and I'm here to talk about the lack of Blade news once again at D23.
Well, let's get, where do we start here? We should probably start with Borderlands because I think it's borderline. How many of us saw it? I saw it. Wait, what?
Borderline. Good job.
It's look, this movie was so, everyone who saw it, you know, I think maybe half of us saw it.
I forgot that it was coming out this weekend.
Yeah, you and most moviegoers did also forgot. But it's so forgettable. It's a movie that feels like, even though it's not AI, it feels like it was made using AI. For those who saw it, I know Dante, you saw it.
Yep.
Chime in with your thoughts. I'd like to hear what, you know, was this a surprise that it bombed at all?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Look, here's the thing, man. I know going in that with most of these IPs that are turned film or TV or whatever, that the chance of them sticking to the source material are going to be slim, right? I already know this. I mean, to be fair, they did pretty good with The Last of Us. They did pretty good with Fallout, right? So, but, you know, I had no misconceptions that an Eli Roth video game movie was going to be good. But how bad it was, that surprised me because it was bad. Dude, it was like honestly, it might be the worst film I've seen this year. And I, for the life of me, I'm watching this film and I'm like, how did Kate Blanchett sign up for this? Like, what do they have on her? You know what I mean? Like how who strong-armed her? Who blackmailed her to do this movie? Because there's no way she looked at that script and said, I want to do that.
I mean, you said that it's the worst that you've seen this year and the year that Madam Web came out. That's saying
dude,
a lot.
Honestly, I enjoyed Madam Web more.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's how bad Borderlands was, man.
God.
No,
Maybe
dude.
she likened it.
Here's the thing. If you love the game, right? Okay, I get you can't be completely faithful. You can't be completely faithful to a video game. I get that. But this was literally like they just slapped a name on it. Like there was really nothing Borderlands about this movie except for Claptrap, the robot, played annoyingly by Jack Black. And I left that theater, man. Honestly, like I saw it for free, and I almost tried to get like my money back, and I saw it for free. like that. That's how angry I was. Like I wanted them to pay me because I was so pissed.
Yeah.
Well, Dante, I saw your review, and yeah, I felt the same way. It's and look, I played the game. It seemed accurate to the look of the game, not really the story, but I don't know that the story really mattered.
What about the gameplay? Did it feel like you were playing the game?
No, it felt nothing like
No.
Borderlands. That's what I'm trying to say. And I don't understand Eli Roth's thinking and going with all these older actresses, because none of the characters in the game are that old. Especially Lilith, played by Cate Blanchett. She's supposed to be like 20-something.
Well, your first mistake is thinking that Eli Roth knows how to think. If you've seen his portfolio of films, or if you can call them that, they're really bad. Like, the best thing he's been in was Inglourious Basterds, and that's as an actor. Like, he's not a filmmaker. He's a guy who's friends with Quentin Tarantino, and he used that clout to get into movie making, and he makes these shock and crappy films that would normally be rejected by Asylum. But the only reason that they actually get greenlit is because he's friends with Tarantino, and people who greenlight him want to have access to Tarantino. And that actually works well. With Cate Blanchett, unfortunately for the stigma of Hollywood, she's at that age where she cannot afford to turn down work. Even though she's a talented actress and she's still beautiful, there's that stigma with casting directors and other people. It's like, Cate Blanchett, ooh, she's hit that wall and gone through it. I mean, I don't believe that type of stuff, but that's their perspective. And so as a result, how many job offers is she really getting? Does she really have, I think she's thinking down the road, like, listen, I better take this work now because I'm probably not going to have it in 5-10 years, or until I hit that age where I look like the grandma and can be in those grandma movies.
But I heard the movie was shot like 3-4 years ago. They've been sitting on this thing. And in that time, she made Tar, of course, which got her an Oscar. So good for her. And I've always liked her. I think she's amazing.
I love her in Thor Ragnarok. So she's done that kind of projects before, and she looked amazing in that. So
I think the main problem is that they didn't care about, bringing in the Borderland fans. And that to me is when you take over one of these giant IPs, you really have to focus on why this IP is, big as big as it is. I don't know. I'm gonna share something if you guys, if don't mind, this quick interview that Eli Roth did with in regards to the film. Let me just go ahead and play this. But let me let me play this. Let me make sure the volume is up, and let me know if you guys can hear it.
Do you have a favorite Easter egg that's featured in the movie?
The answer is yes, I do. But yeah, it does differ. I mean, look, the games are the games and the movie's the movie. And that was one of the first things I talked to Randy Pitchford, the creator, about. I was like, I want to make a great, big, fun sci-fi movie. I want to do a mix of, Star Wars and Mad Max and Fifth Element and Barbarella and Blade Runner and Escape from New York. I want all of these things in there. I don't want to just recreate what's in the game. And he was great. He's like, go for it. The games are their own canon and the movie is its own thing.
That is what's in the games if he actually played them. How was Kevin Hart as Roland, the very tall, stoic, quiet black man that they got a little small, jokey Kevin Hart to play?
He was neutered. He was neutered.
But the key word is he didn't want to make a Borderlands movie.
Right. Almost Leslie Headland like.
Star Wars. How many different movies did he name in that? He named Star Wars. He named Mad Max. He named Escape from New York, Barbarella, Fifth Element. He's like throwing all of these. Like, why don't you make a Borderlands? Why don't you make a Borderlands movie? How about that? How about that?
I gotta ask you this, but how popular is this game? If every single Borderlands fan bought a ticket, how much would this movie make?
It sold 86 million games worldwide throughout its run. That's a lot. That's a lot. So if you go out and you just do the job, give the Borderland fans what the Borderland fans expect, it should be okay.
No,
he didn't even answer the lady's question. She said, is there an Easter egg in there? What is it? He's like, yes, I do. And then he just talks about other movies.
Exactly.
That's the director.
It's like, the games are games and the movies are movies. So yeah.
The other thing that baffles me is the, you make a movie and they always ask you who are the names involved. So you have Cate Blanchett, Kevin Hart, Jamie Lee Curtis, and Ariana Greenblatt. Who thought that this quartet was what people wanted to see? That this is not Burt Reynolds and Dom DeLuise. It's just the chemistry here. There was a little bit, but were people clamoring to see these four people together?
No, dude, no one wanted to see Cate Blanchett play Lilith. I'm telling you that right now. She's supposed to be 20-something years old.
They're all supposed to be far younger. Yeah. And immediately, if you saw it, and everyone did, all the fans saw it and were like, oh, no, this isn't. Because they just assume, oh, no, they do it with Star Wars and everything. You fans, you'll show up. You'll take whatever we give you. And then they do what they do.
I mean, I think as far as video game fans goes, they kind of already are negatively skewed when they hear an adaptation's coming out. That they're already like, oh boy. Yep. It's just very rare when it's successful like Fallout. And I think they just didn't prove to the fans that this was going to be good. And they didn't do the work to try to appeal to them. And I think they knew it was bad and they just dumped it out. And there's no fanfare. And they knew probably Deadpool and Wolverine, they had no chance. So they just kind of dumped it seemed.
Yeah. I'm just surprised that the people who liked seeing Cate Blanchett as Elizabeth didn't want to see her in Borderlands.
Well, look at this. First of all, let's talk money. 8.8 million debuting at fourth place is not good. This for a movie that was the budget was about 120, 129, I heard around there, the low 100s. This will not even break even, not even close. It may not break 100 million global.
It may not break 50 million.
Yeah, not even 50. And also I remember seeing the trailer and thinking, what is this? Here's what it reminded me of. It reminded me of back in the old days, they used to make a movie and then they would do a TV series of the movie. Like they made, some of you will remember, there was a Logan's Run movie. Mm-hmm. Then they did a Logan's Run short-lived TV show, which was a way, way, way cheaper version of Logan's Run with a slightly different plot. That's what Borderlands looks like. It's like there's a really good movie that exists. This is the TV version of that movie, and which is just awful and has no heart at all, no chemistry, and even I don't know. By the way, the women in it are great. I love Jamie Lee Curtis. I like Cate Blanchett. I think they're very attractive women. But Jay from Red Letter Media commented in their review, which went live. I was watching it right before this. Said, I think Eli Roth has a thing for G-MILFs, if you know the term.
No,
I watched that too. That was funny.
No, absolutely he does, man. And here's the thing for me, man. Gina Gershon, 30 years ago, would have been perfect as Moxie. Perfect as Moxie 30, 40 years ago.
Cate Blanchett too.
Moxie is technically kind of, I guess, voted by fans. I don't know, but she's one of the most sexiest video game characters, at least in past recent years. And Gina Gershon 40 years ago would have been that woman, but not today. Now, honestly, seeing Gina Gershon like done up the way they did her, she kind of looked like, and I hope you guys will get in trouble for me saying this, she kind of looked like an old whore. Like, and I mean that like in the movie sense of an old whore, like the way a Western would paint up, prostitutes, right? That's how she looked in the film.
The biggest sin is that now this is what happened to Halo too. Now people think, oh, that's the game that you guys like. No, this is not Borderlands. That wasn't Halo. Yeah. You've never seen the actual games that we all loved and liked because they've never been adapted properly.
Well, I feel like for video games too, like you need the beefcake and the cheesecake, as y'all say. And it's just as with video games are more skewed to that you want to look cool and attractive as the player. And that just appeals to everybody. But they're all attractive, but they're not like video game-esque. Players would be used to. Yeah.
There's so many young actresses that they could have chose. It blows my mind that's what they went with.
And Ariana Greenblatt, like she was in Ahsoka and she had a brief role in the Barbie movie. Like she's not, how old is she? I don't even know, but she's not bringing in anyone. Kevin Hart's not bringing in anybody in that regard. But yeah,
hey, Kevin Hart in an action role? No.
Yeah, you can't rely on star power. If that's what they thought, like for this movie, we have these big name stars. That doesn't cut it anymore. You need to like Fallout did it very well. Like they had all of the pieces in place, but they had the know-how and the expertise, and they had the passion and knowledge about the IP.
I think
they didn't have huge names in there. Walton Goggins, like he was great, but he's not like huge scale, like no Tom Cruise or anything. But he's just a really good actor, and that's what they relied upon. And they had good marketing and and it was for streaming. I don't know.
Well,
maybe
they also
this
had
would have been
Jonathan Nolan involved, which
yeah, yeah, and maybe it would have been better for streaming, like Twisted Metal. I don't know. I haven't seen that either. Was that? It seemed
Twisted
like
Metal
it's
was
kinda
actually pretty
similar.
good. It was actually pretty decent. That one kind of shocked me. I really like Twisted Metal. Look, the game, the story isn't. There's not much of a story with the game anyway. So the story that they created for that IP, I was okay with. And Anthony Mackie actually did a good job.
Yeah, I just feel like anytime you are adapting a video game, you have to go right to the source, which are the fan, not the source material that the fans fell in love with. Because how many video game adaptations have really took off? Not a lot. Not a lot. And then when you look at Sonic, like I always go back to Sonic the Hedgehog and how they had that weird looking blue rat looking Sonic at the beginning. But then they said, you know what? The fans are screaming and hollering about this. Hey, let's get in there and let's change this to something that the fans are going to like. And the fans, they changed it and the fans rewarded it with a great box office. They're now moving towards their third Sonic movie. What you need to do is start listening to your fan base. When your fans are coming out and telling you, hey, this is what we want. Hey, how about a little fidelity to the source material? Make it feel like this. Because look, they could have got all the Borderlands fans to show up for this, just like they did with Five Nights at Freddy's. Five Nights at Freddy's, you know, I don't know how much that did, but I mean, it came out day and date. And that thing killed it not only in the box office, but on streaming. You know, and they're working on Five Nights at Freddy's Part 2 because they paid attention to the fans. They listened to the fans, the people that they cared about, that people that cared enough about this IP to make it big in the first place. And so if you just go away from that, which is clearly what Eli Roth did, because you just heard him on that little quick interview, he just went completely away from it. It's like, okay, well, then you get what you get. You know, I don't feel sorry for him because you're not listening to your audience. You're just doing what you want to do. Sonic should have been the cautionary tale for everybody. Hey,
well, Sonic is a difficult thing to do because it's not like they asked them to rewrite the movie. They just said, "Can you change the CG model of Sonic?" The movie stayed the same. They just changed. That's doable. You can't go to something like Borderlands, watch it, and be like, "That is terrible." You should go back and reshoot it because that's essentially what a lot of people are going to infer from what you're saying about giving the fans what they want.
No, let me clarify it. Then what I'm saying is you got to tap into the fan base when you start. You got to tap into the fan base off rip. You cannot just try to make your own thing. Oh, I'm going to do Star Wars meets Escape from New York meets Mad Max meets Barbarella. Like,
trust that everyone else will fall in love with what we did.
Trust the people that bought the game and the 77 to 80 million people that bought the game to begin with. Trust
whatever
those
happened
guys.
to focus groups. I mean, whatever happened to
well, by the way,
in and going
that can be dangerous too. But yeah.
Well, to be clear, Quentin Tarantino hates focus groups, and he's good friends with Eli.
But he's not doing IPs.
He calls them fuckus groups. That's what Quentin calls them. But and they're good friends. Eli has a great story about watching a 35 print of War of the Gargantuas at Tarantino's house. But I agree with you, DA. It's they just that Five Nights at Freddy's. Whatever you think of it, hey, I wasn't a fan. But I saw the screening the day it came out on Peacock the same day, and it was in theaters. The screening was packed, and it was all kids. It was an event.
Now, my nephew loved it. He plays all the games. He has all the shit. I buy him the action figures. Funny how that works.
It surprised me.
It surprised me too. It was better than expected.
Yeah, my daughter loved it. She even knew the YouTuber who appeared in the middle of it.
There you go.
Yeah.
So buys your fan base, right?
Spends money on it, right? Exactly. Yeah.
So, and they were wise with their budget, and they didn't have like huge name. Well, Matthew Lillard and Josh, but they're Josh Hutcherson, but they're not huge. But they were passionate. Like I never heard any bad things about their marketing whenever they would do interviews. Same thing with Jonathan Nolan. I never heard all the stuff I heard from him in interviews sounded great. It just sounded okay. I have hope and optimism, and we'll just see.
It's not magic.
No,
they
it's
used
not.
to know.
You take what works from the source, be like, what works? What do fans respond to? Okay, how do we make that shine? I mean, as silly as in the mid-90s, we had Street Fighter and we had Mortal Kombat. Well, Mortal Kombat
still goated. Probably
the better out of that adaptation of the two, because what did it say? It says, well, the thing is, we have to make the fights awesome. Yeah. That's what it is. That's what shines from it. We can do the whole story and lore from it there. We'll pepper it through, but we really have to focus on making those fights. And then, of course, they got the club music, the 90s dance club music in there, and it just kind of blew up. On Street Fighter, they tried to make it way more of like a political type of thing. It just didn't feel authentic to the brand. And then they screwed up again, like 20 years later with that Chung Li Street Fighter thing.
Oh God,
they just didn't want
that
to
was
get
bad.
to, what is this game? It's a fighter game, so it should be centered around a tournament of fights. Mortal Kombat was authentic to that in that 190s movie, the sequel, whatever. But Street Fighter never stuck to that. Sonic, on the other hand, that's a very original story that doesn't feel like the video game, but it feels fun for the character because we've seen him done in cartoons and in comics and other stuff. So they were able to grasp onto that aspect. But video game movies are really, really tough to do because the narrative structure to a video game is customer driven.
Street Fighter is beloved though, still, but for different reasons.
Absolutely. It's a customer.
Julia.
It's a customer-driven medium. It's like the way that you play a video game. Your hand isn't being held all the way through in some of them. With regards to like the was it the Nathan Drake, Uncharted games? That movie didn't perform well, but it had a lot of the cinematic scenes that you would get from the video game. But there was just something missing there from it, right? Because
Too young. Tom Holland.
That was one of the most adaptable games for them to do. It's such a cinematic franchise to begin with. And it was spent so long in development hell. And I can't believe they cast the roles the way they did.
Mark Wahlberg.
This generic treasure hunting movie. I don't see it as Uncharted.
My question is with Eli Roth, right? Okay, yeah, he's friends with Tarantino. The studios realize they're not getting Tarantino, right? They're getting Eli Roth.
Yeah, exactly.
They understand that, right?
Kind of, not really.
It's all names. It's all names and credits.
Okay, but they're dropping $100 and something million on a project. They realize they're not getting Tarantino, right?
I mean, the thing is, they don't really give Tarantino $100 million either. But I mean, you got Eli Roth, who's the director, who's also the co-writer with Joe Abercrombie, Abercrombie has only been in Hollywood for like 4 years. He's barely written anything. He adapted Love, Death, and Robots for one episode. He's got nothing to his pedigree for a video game adaptation.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I think it's only theirs because he's the guy that's like, well, he's got a little bit more he's got better writing experience or better writing pedigree than Eli Roth. So we'll put them together so that they can make this movie work as a cheap cop-out to actually getting people that could, tell a narrative.
So you get Eli Roth and an unproven writer and give them a budget of $100 million to go make an IP.
Well, but
movie.
they're banking on the IP. They're banking on the IP. The IP. This is one of the best video games sellers of all time. That's what they're banking on. They're thinking they're just going to pull people in because they put Borderlands on the movie, and okay, everybody's going to come and watch it. But they thought Borderlands fans ain't going for it.
The game was that popular.
It's pretty popular.
It's one of the best video game sellers of all time. It's one of the top of all time.
I played all three.
Never played it.
Borderlands 1, 2, 3, the pre-sequel. It had fans.
Tiny Tina.
Tales of Borderlands, which they have just adapted the Telltale and done it, which it was more like a narrative and it was really funny and good and would have made a great series. They did none of that. Guaranteed no one actually played these games.
We will get, first of all, I did say hi to everyone in the chat at the top. We'll get to that. So hello, everyone. We'll get the super chats at the end. And I want to thank you for watching. Final comments on this, and we're moving to the next topic. We'll talk about D23. My big takeaway from this is, does Hollywood learn lessons? There are lessons to be learned, right? Like being faithful to the source material. People like that.
There's this idea in Hollywood that we don't want to cater to the fans. We want to reach a broader audience. When does that ever work for them?
Never.
Yeah.
I can't think of any time, really.
Yeah.
What's weird is, Lionsgate has such a weird track record because they'll make great movies and they'll make horrible movies. And they just seem to kind of balance each other out here. And so what's up with Lionsgate?
But this has to be one of the biggest budget things they've ever done. Most of
120, that's pretty on par with Lionsgate around for its larger titles.
But the smaller titles are very low budget, like action, like staples or horror.
Yeah, and they even have faith films that they do.
I'm sure you've seen them all, Alan.
I've seen most of them.
Well, one of the things that Lionsgate does is they're still on the old model. Like they still do the low budget stuff, and then they hope that the one big budget pays for any of the failures of the low budget. But also some of the low budget stuff makes enough money that it pays off a little bit of the big budget. With regards to Borderlands, they're in the hole for a while. I mean, unless they have a really great distribution deal, on the secondary windows, like they're not seeing a dime on this part. With regards to Hollywood, do they learn lessons? Well, not in general, but the right producers do. And the right producers that learn those lessons end up taking over the industry for a short period until they make mistakes that their predecessors did. That's the cycle.
Did you say right producers? Or
I heard right too.
I know.
I can't tell.
I wasn't sure. You are white.
Infer either way because it can kind of work.
Well, the white producers could
Well,
learn.
on the nose.
Well, the white
I hear what you're
producers
saying.
are the greedy ones. Let's see.
Yeah. All right, let's pivot. A couple things want to let you guys know. Go to shop.filmthreat.com for all your Film Threat merch needs. We got mugs, t-shirts, custom shirts. Get it. This shirt I'm wearing today, I have a special shirt. I'm very happy with this shirt that you can see it's inspired by Alien.
Let's go.
Opens Alien Romulus, opens Friday. We'll talk about it on Wednesday, actually. Dante and I are seeing an early screening, so check that out. And also, I will be at, people have been asking, I will be at Dragon Con. I'm doing a panel called Gore on Horror. So check out Gore on Horror panel with my friend, comedian Shane Mackey. And we will do a Film Threat meetup on Friday, August 30th at the Westin Hotel. After the panel is the Film Threat meetup at Dragon Con in Atlanta. Check it out. And in huge news also for Versus, Elaine Nerd Cookie's got a new avatar that looks amazing.
Thank you. Yeah. Hope you like it.
Very cool.
Very
Dune
nice.
inspired.
Yeah, I love it. And I'm telling you, you have to actually sell nerd cookies. I would buy them. I would be a customer.
Spice cookies. No spice creams. No. Spice coffee.
Actually, if you put spice in it, I will.
I
buy
want a
it.
spice cream.
All right.
At least 10 milligrams. That's all I'm saying.
We have so many news stories. I don't know. Hopefully we will get to most of these. But D23 came out. One of the there's a lot of things they showed we could not.
Yeah.
But we need to react to the Snow White trailer. I'm not sure if all of you have seen it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
I actually did a video on this, and I had to. I just put out a Blade video this morning. I had to actually make an apology because of my Snow White video because I accidentally said the M word, in references to the dwarves, and I just look, and I'm gonna say it right here on the show. I'm gonna say it right here on the show. Dante is a friend of the little people. If I offended you, I apologize. You guys have brought me nothing but joy for years, so I love little people, and that word just slipped.
Is it the same, Dante, as the N-word? Is it the same? I've been told it's the same, and I don't think it quite is.
I don't think it is, but
yeah, I know.
For some reason, they prefer the term little folk. So
I understand.
All right. Well, I did get the Cara Dune action figures. I paid almost $200 to get not a figure. That's a whole other conversation.
$80 on eBay.
I found it later for cheaper, but whatever. And you know what? Lori got one, Alan got one, and I got one, and that's all that matters. I think that's the important
We
thing.
were supporting Gina Carano at D23.
I agree. So I'm actually not. I'm very happy for all of us. Very happy. All right. Let's take a look at this trailer for those who haven't seen it. It's a little over a minute. So here we go. Let's go.
So whistle while you work. Whistle while you work. Magic mirror on the wall. Who's the fairest one of all?
Bambi.
It's the apple. Oh my gosh. This is the apple.
Vader.
The apple.
Weren't they filming in the UK? Nothing looks real.
Can I just say that they must mean that the fairest of the all is on the inside? I'm not even making a joke. It cannot be a physical beauty. They must, because also that would be like body things.
I think I was thinking the exact same thing.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they came out and said that. I think they actually came out and said that fairest of the all means the most just, or the most, something to that effect. That's where they're going with it. Yeah.
What a horrible song choice.
What a horrible
That's
color
the song
palette.
you choose. So why you were?
Yeah. Should have been Hi Ho.
Yeah, Hi Ho would have been better. But the other part too is, did you not notice
It's just CGI
on that?
Yeah, the color palette looked really bad.
It was oversaturated. It was here's
was
bright colors on screen, and then we're just going to put this horrible gray Zack Snyder Rebel Moon filter over top of it because
they use that volume thing to shoot.
Yeah, I was saying that the opening scene was Thomas Kincaid, the movie.
This looks like AI.
I mean, if you're gonna make the dwarves look just like they were in the animated one or the 2D, but just CG versions, like when you compare them, and this is the same thing with the Pinocchio remake that they did. When you compare like the fish was so beautiful and so artistic. Just everything in the 2D versions was so beautiful and artistic. And then the remake of it was just, let's CGify it. And it would she looked like a realistic fish. It was kind of weird. There was just all our artistic inclinations were just sucked out. It's just soulless. And that's what it's the same format. It just sucks all the soul and artistry out of it.
But here's one thing to say about the dwarves. They were white males.
And also, I don't get why didn't they just use little people?
Because Peter Dinklage said that thing. There's whole articles like for Time Bandits, they had hired little people and then they fired them all and went a different direction.
See, that is so messed up, man. See, that little bastard. Look, man, here's my problem with Peter Dinklage, right? This guy is eating well, right? He's eating well because he is the dwarf, right? And
Careful, Dante, don't use the M word.
I'm not. I'm just saying he's Hollywood's it guy, right? As far as little people goes. So what about the other guys that need to eat, man? What about the other actors, man? These are the kind of roles that they're meant for.
Yo, Dante, think about this, man. Anybody that played one of these 7 dwarves would have been able to eat off of that for the rest of their lives. They would have been able to go to conventions and they would have been signing, hey, I played Happy in the dwarf or whatever, Snow White. They would have been pictures, autographs. They would have been able to live off of that for the rest of their lives. But Peter Dinklage decided to pull up the ladder behind him and said, okay, I made my money on Game of Thrones. Now we got to, fight for the rights of whatever he's thinking. It's absolutely ridiculous, man. He should have just said, you know what? Let me keep my mouth shut. I made it. Let all my other cats out here, let them get theirs too. It is so ridiculous that they did not cast actual, and then they just put this CGI cartoon, little twirling doors flipping in there. I was like, this is garbage, man. These guys look like straight up cartoon characters. I don't understand why they did this. If they're going to do a live action remake, do a live action remake, okay? Everything in this thing looks freaking fake. I mean, the animals look fake.
Yeah, the house looks fake.
And the house looks fake. The dwarves look fake. Everything looks fake. The only thing that looks hot is Gal Gadot. And that's the only one that really looks like legit. Gal Gadot is a smoke show. So, hey, if you go there, you coming for Gal Gadot. Everybody else, man.
And she's jealous of Snow White's beauty.
The Zeg.
They gave her Lord Farquaad hair.
Yeah.
Sorry. Eric. You actually make a great point here because the reason this movie was delayed and reshot and everything has to do with the Twitter reaction to that press photo with the tall people in the fields with Snow White, which goes back to what you said about Sonic. Oh, Twitter reacted and said, hey, we got to change this. Well, with Sonic, all you have to do is change the model to make it more appealing to fans. With Disney, they said, screw that. We're going to get rid of those 7 actors. We're probably going to retain their voice. We're going to reshoot Rachel Zegler on a green screen and computer animate a whole movie around her. And we're just going to remake it and double our budget and throw it out there. And it's still going to be crap.
And adding flashbacks because all of her fun little things that she said didn't help. And the adding flashbacks with the younger actress to minimize her screen time. Ironically, what she said might happen to her male co-star. All of that did not help.
So let me give you my quick take on this, and I have a prediction. So one, it looks all like AI. We've done, Alan and I have done a lot of segments. I'm a huge fan of AI generated trailers. I think they're funny, they're entertaining, they're not real, they look bad, and you might not want to use AI to fill out your rally if you're running for president. It doesn't always look real, but
Kamala.
Okay, yes, this CG looks awful. It is so disconnecting because we know it's fake. There's something about the artistry in the original Snow White or those classic Disney movies that is so lifelike and real. And Snow White is, correct me if I'm wrong, Alan, one of the shortest Disney features. It's just over 60 minutes.
Dumbo is the shortest, but I think we looked it up and it's 90 minutes.
Right. So, and there's not a lot of story to this. Gal Gadot, I agree with you, DA. He looks great. I predict when she eats the poison apple, she doesn't fall asleep necessarily. She goes to a nether world where she has to fight her way back. So you'll see her in her head in a dream. That's when I'm serious. I'm being serious. I think it's her. She saves herself. When she said that line, the prince doesn't save her. She saves herself. Yeah. So she will eat the poison apple, which will be an LSD fueled dream in some netherworld where she fights her way. And also, I'm going to start calling women fair and see how they like that compliment and see how that goes over. You're very fair.
Yeah. Here's the thing. It's like, there seems to have been a big change when that press photo came out and when the strike happened, because when that press photo came out, it was Snow White and the 7 diverse, happy people.
The 7 hobos, you mean?
The 7 hobos. But the thing is now it's Snow White and the 7 actual dwarves, the white male dwarves, the happy, these are not diverse dwarves. These are the original white dwarves, which means it seems like maybe they're going in the direction of actually telling the original story.
Well, white dwarves would make a great name for a metal band. I'd like
one thing that
dwarves,
One thing that did bother me, and maybe I'm misremembering the original film, was doesn't Snow White, when she comes into the house and it's empty, there's no one there, doesn't she clean it?
Yes, she does.
And while they're at work, but then they show this trailer where she's singing "Whistle While You Work" while all the dwarves do all the cleaning, and she just spins around, doesn't lift a finger.
No, that's very modern day. That's very modern day stuff. I remember seeing it in TV shows with main characters like, we're gonna make the main character run for office. What are they gonna do? Well, we're gonna go down to the beach and clean it up. And what is the main character doing? He's just walking around. Everybody else around him is cleaning it up. He's not doing anything. That's just the mentality they have. They can't make the main character get their hands dirty.
I thought that was her thank you to the dwarves for her staying at their house while they spent all day in the mines working.
Yeah.
They should be so lucky to let her be there in their presence. Yes, she's so virtuous.
I'm just wondering, how are they going to handle one of the biggest, probably if not the biggest song in Disney history, one of the biggest songs in Disney history, "Someday My Prince Will Come"? Is she going to sing that? Because that's one of the biggest songs that Disney has ever had. I think it's still in the AFI top 100 in terms of Disney songs. "Someday My Prince Will Come." Is she singing for love? Is this going to be a romance? Is there going to be any romantic, plot points to this? Or is this just girl boss? Snow White can do it on her own. Like Chris said, she's going to be fighting her way back from the netherworld up to, defeat the witch. Is she going to be the one that kills the witch? I'm really concerned about that, because that's what Snow White at the heart of it really is. It's still a romance.
Remember my prediction. She fights her way out. The poison apple takes her somewhere else, whether a dream or not, and she fights. That's my prediction.
Yeah. She did. Zegler already said that that she's not going to be saved by the prince.
Well, yeah, that's why I'm connecting.
Yeah, but remember, all the things being said were done before at the last D23, before all the changes were made, and before this new younger Snow White showed up. So you can't really say that everything Rachel Zegler said at the last D23 2 years ago still applies. It sounds like they've changed a lot of things about this movie.
By the way, this movie cost $209 million.
It'll cost more.
It's way more above that if you add in all their other stuff.
Yeah, no, I mean that was the price.
Oh,
that was the price tag. So what it is now, I can't even imagine.
I think we're around between 4 and 5,
like
100 million. But if you count for
Now, in general, the reaction to this trailer has been awful. It's already been ratioed on YouTube. I don't know if one of you can check what it's at right now in terms of the ratio. So it's getting killed. I just think that fans don't like this. Do you remember in the 90s when they had the clamshell VHS and they made Snow White 2, Cinderella 2, Lion King 2 and 3.
I got it.
Yep.
All
You ready?
sequels to classics, and none of them. I mean, I remember buying them for my kids at the grocery store because it's right there at the rack at the cash register. You couldn't ignore it. I bought all those movies. I don't remember watching any one of those. They look awful. This is the modern version of that. It's let's just do the remake. It fulfills two things. One, we might make money on it. And two, it renews the copyright to Disney's Snow White. None of these movies are just by their one name. They all are Disney's fill in the blank. And that renews the copyright so they can keep milking it in the future. So on those, any comment on what I just said? I think this is just, people don't like the live action remakes in general because the original.
I've got the ratio, Chris.
What's that, please?
It's almost 380,000 If you, I've got it there. I do
Is
share.
it
If you wanna
really?
look at it. Yeah.
Oh my God. Wow. Okay.
60,000 upvotes to 379,000 downvotes with 5 million views.
And you look at,
Almost
I think
6.
people just don't like, so at least the ones that you were talking about, Chris, like the sequels, like at least those were contributing to the story. They were adding to it, but this is just remaking it. It's just the worst form of creative bankruptcy. They just want to literally just strip it, just redo it in a CG abomination version with no thought to the artistry or a soul or any character motivation. So I think Pinocchio was one of the greatest ones, but there's been so many. There's The Little Mermaid, and Aladdin was okay, and I think The Jungle Book was okay, but there's ones that just seem pointless and soulless. Like they're just that you can tell. And also I think Guillermo del Toro came out with a Pinocchio movie the same year, and that one was so good. It was beautiful, it was artistic, and it had character, and it told a new unique story. So it's just the fact that they want to tell and just strip it of it, just kind of pick the bones of this old story, just redo it in a new format. Like people are just tired of it. I'm actually curious to see how Mufasa will do. I mean, at least that's a prequel, but it's just that same like look to it. That's just not, no one liked how it looked. They just went to the first Lion King because it's the Lion King, but then it looked just like this emotionless, rehash. It's had none of the artistic soul of the first one.
It's part of a rights retainer to what Chris Gore said. Like Snow White, Disney's version of Snow White is very different from the actual Brothers Grimm tale. And what Disney has done is like they realize, oh, there's 7 dwarves, the names that they gave them, those are actually going to come up to public domain soon unless they actually do another product that has those names reused again. And what better way to do it than a live action variation? It's a different interpretation of their own properties that they've done and adapted. That's why they did their the Little Mermaid, Snow, Beauty and the Beast, and Aladdin are far too recent. They did that basically as a cash grab, as a gimmick to try and get people butts back in the seats with the original stories. Now that we're getting close to we've already passed the centennial for Disney, and all of their stuff is actually coming up for public domain. They just renewed Steamboat Willie by basically using that model in other cartoons. So basically, if you wanted to try and do your own Steamboat Willie Mickey Mouse, you are actually going to have a lot of issues because Disney can sue you because they can claim you're using the more recent one as opposed to the old one, and there's no distinction between the two models. They're identical. When it comes to, we've got the Snow White right now. They did Pinocchio just recently with Tom Hanks. That was atrocious. I agree. The Guillermo del Toro one was absolutely fantastic adaptation. There's going to be more. Like they're going to do another. They haven't done the Cinderella one proper yet, but they also haven't done the Sleeping Beauty one either. So those are probably going to be on the docket because they've also reinterpreted those as well. So we're in for this for the long haul, so long as Iger's in charge, because Iger's the guy that he's been at the studio longer than all the other people that were head of studios when he got head and back in 06. There's been multiple changes in studio heads, but Iger's been there since 06 to now. It's going on 20 years. And after buying all those other IPs to try and build up Disney's brand and kind of shuttering a little bit the classic stuff, now that he's bringing in the classic stuff, he's actually just doing the very same thing he did to the IPs he bought and just completely disregarding the core audience. Not only that, the broader audience in general, because it's like when you do something like Snow White, the whole idea is that you want to actually use the centennial as a marketing point for it. If the original Snow White came out in 1923, you want to do the 100-year anniversary with a live action, with a big budget, with a great cast, hiring actual little people to play those, put in some prosthetic makeup to really accentuate the dwarviness that was done in the original, and don't just make this movie that looks like it was shot on the volume.
Well, my question is, okay, I get what you're saying, Script. Why not just make a Disney Plus version for much cheaper? Right? You still get to keep the IP, right?
Yeah. Did they do that with Lady and the Tramp? They just put that on Disney Plus. I haven't seen.
But the thing is, what I think Disney has already learned the hard way is that you're not making money on streaming with the amount of money that they're putting into their product. Like streaming is your end destination for your format of whatever TV show or film you've done. It's really just supposed to be an archive that you can access at any time, but they're trying to make it like a content-driven machine, and that doesn't actually work because people would much rather go out to the theater to see something, and the expenses behind making something strictly for streaming and not distributing it in any other window, the math isn't there. Like if you make a feature film, the best thing you can do, first of all, you get the theatrical release, you get the box office tickets there, then you get your DVD, then you get your network streaming, then you get your Netflix streaming, then you get your international streaming, and then once you've basically exhausted all of those and you've sold all those rights out there, and once they've all lapsed, that's when you put it onto Disney Plus so that the next generation can have access to it. They're just jumping it so quickly that they're not getting any money out of it.
And don't forget, Daily Wire's Snow White is coming.
Oh yeah, I'd rather watch Brett Cooper. I would rather watch Brett Cooper.
I'm gonna guess March 2025. We'll get the Daily Wire version, which maybe will be more accurate to the fairy tale.
And the question is, do they use real little people?
Yeah.
Do they use real little people?
I mean, probably in a real forest.
Well, I mean, they've got Ben Shapiro, so that's one down.
6 to go.
So here's the question. Last year, Little Mermaid made $300 million domestic. Will Snow White come close to Little Mermaid?
No.
Nah, Rachel Zegler has so much ill will against her right now. I think they thought that the fans had forgotten. I don't think that ratio shows you they have not forgotten what she said about the original.
But yeah.
Well, the thing is, it's not. I don't think will parents bring their kids to Snow White like they did the Little Mermaid?
Have they caught on to Disney and their fun little not so secret agenda that is very not secret at this point?
Yeah, but I was going to ask that question too, Alan. Like, who is this movie for?
I mean, it's not going to have all kids. It's for girls. I mean, it's skewed towards girls, but I don't think girls would like it.
I don't think women are going to like this. You know why? And I say that, nerd, is because there's no romance. I assume there's going to be no romance in this movie.
That's
right. Her hair looks like Lord Farquaad's from Shrek, so I don't think, which they've definitely seen. Kids of all ages have seen Shrek. I don't think they're going to like it.
Yeah, like women.
Fun.
I would think a woman would go see this because of the romance, because of Prince Charming, and they have all these things. But it seems like they're going to cut that part out of the film.
But that's why we're saying that song. The facts that were presented before the change. Again, before the change, it was a diverse group of magical people. Now it's the actual 7 dwarves. So does that mean there's going to be romance in this? Does that mean
I was told that was 2 separate groups? By the way, that was 2 separate groups she meets. There are the dwarves that definitely went CG. Sorry,
I've heard
Ryan.
the same, yeah.
But the original group.
But we've been talking about not seeing it because it was going to be a diverse set of dwarves. Now we're not getting that, and it seems like they're making that pivot. They're going to spend a lot of money doing it, but they're making a pivot to make it more like the original.
Yeah,
I just don't think that the same groups or the same kids that liked Inside Out 2 are going to like this one. It doesn't look fun. It doesn't look like anything that they would like connect to like they do with Kung Fu Panda or Despicable Me. Yeah, it just doesn't have that same fun vibe, and it just looks different. It has that AI, skewed look to it that nothing feels tangible.
her Hunger Game movie? Like, how was that? Like, because she was essentially the lead of that, playing a very similar role, it seems like. Virtuous.
I never saw
Well,
it.
that did decently, didn't it?
Yeah,
it did well in the box
now,
office. I don't know
granted,
how good
she
it was because
didn't-
I didn't see it.
But it
She didn't
cost
make any
like what,
comments.
100 million?
Yeah, she
Yeah,
didn't make
Mount
any
Lions
comments
Gate is
disparaging Hunger Games, I don't think, like she did with Disney, but
I think the prequel though for Haymitch, that's in development right now. I think that's going to do much better at the box office.
Let's pivot right now to more D23 news. Before that, I want to remind people, Alan reminded me of this. Award This is an annual event that we put on at Film Threat. It's rewarding different small indie movies, those little micro budget, small indie films. You know, we interview a lot of filmmakers. If you submit your movie by September 30th, you are eligible for our event in December. It's a big party. We put on the award show. Dante gets super drunk. Badger,
That is a lie, sir.
I have video proof. But Badger, you're invited. Derek, please show up. It's our big celebration of
you heard it. No takebacks.
Yes, of independent film. It's a big party, gift bags. It's the whole award show experience. If you're an indie filmmaker and you have a movie, a short film, a feature, we only have 2 rules. You have to have a movie reviewed on Film Threat, and number 2, it has to be available in commercial release, meaning you have to be able to buy it. So that's it. So go to awardthis.com. The link is in the description. Submit your movie by September 30th. Alan or one of our writers will take a look at it. We keep notes all year on the best films we've seen, and you might be eligible. And if you want, watch the show. It's on our YouTube channel at Film Threat. Or just
Our YouTube
search
channel,
Award
yeah.
This. Search Award This. All right.
Nice.
Now,
Actually, really quick, Chris, I want to say something about Award This. Guys,
Yes.
I have seen some incredible submissions for Award This. Like some of these indie filmmakers, man, some of you guys need to step your game up because some of these guys they're on the track, you know what I mean, to bigger things. Like some of these movies, like I would pay for out of my pocket to go watch in the theater. So these aren't just like some little projects or, you know, a little, you know, house film. Like these are real movies. So if you guys got a real movie, send it in. And just know though, there's competition. Like some of these cats are doing some amazing things, man, even with AI.
well, I like to say these are truly indie movies, the low budget movies like from IFC and below, or even just filmmakers that self-release their movies like Damien Leone's Terrifier 2. So check if you're eligible, get your movie reviewed and check it out. All right, now let's talk about D23.
Oh boy.
This weekend, it's Alan Ng's favorite weekend of the year. It is D23, and we were there. That's right. Alan and I both did live streams from there. Alan got more views than my live stream. He did.
I had
win,
more information. Yeah.
although his got copyright hit, but whatever. So check out either of our streams. You can see Alan's coverage from the floor. A little shaky on the footage, but we were there. So check out those streams. But there is a lot of news. Alan, let's go over some of the big announcements. What do you got for me?
What I got for you? Oh gosh.
Let's talk Marvel news at D23. A lot of things announced. Most of us saw what was announced at D23. A lot of us saw it, not a lot of it isn't officially out. Let's say that. So, and what I saw, Agatha looks terrible. I don't care. Ironheart looks better than expected, but I don't really care. And the only thing that looked maybe interesting was Daredevil. We can't show this. We'll get hit with copyright. But of the Marvel projects that were announced and based on what you've seen, what did you like best? Jump in, anybody.
Oh, see, the Daredevil, but like it's because it's Charlie Cox, but I can't tell if it's Charlie Cox time to be like, I'm finally Daredevil again. Don't worry, it won't be like She-Hulk because you get a lot of the Netflix screaming, and I'm very wary and hesitant. But that's the only thing that even made me feel anything.
For me, it was the Fantastic Four stuff. I don't know how it's going to turn out, but just from those clips I've seen that you can't play for obvious reasons right now, but just from what I've seen, it feels like a Fantastic Four movie. I'm allowing myself to have a little hope. I'm allowing myself to have hope.
Dangerous.
Was it the same footage that they showed at Comic-Con? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it was a little bit more because for me anyway, because there were some things I didn't see from Comic-Con. So
it gave you the idea of the look and the vibe and the tone. And I have to say, I like it. So, but this is a year away. Fantastic Four is supposed to come out July 2025. I predict it's going to move to the fall because it's the same month Superman comes out from James Gunn.
Yeah. And they just finished filming. Yeah.
Yeah. So they just started filming. So I think that you're going to get,
you'll see,
you're going to get Captain America February, May for the Thunderbolts, and then FF is going to be a holiday movie. That's my prediction.
Might be Labor Day. Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone else who saw the Marvel stuff, what are your thoughts?
I'm excited for Daredevil. I think Daredevil might actually be good. They took the time because they scrapped the original run. They had been like 9 episodes in or something to Daredevil, and then they completely scrapped it and started over because they knew they were on the wrong track. So, and I don't know if this, finds its way in to when Marvel started firing activists and started getting some real storytellers in there. I'm not sure if that's the case, but the fact that they pushed pause and then went back and said, you know what, let's give the folks what they wanted, which is Daredevil from Netflix. The Netflix Daredevil, in my opinion, is one of the greatest superhero adaptations we've ever seen. So if they can get the tone and capture that from the Netflix Daredevil, I'm all in. I'm ready to go. Okay. I've been waiting for this. I've been waiting for them to give us basically Daredevil season 4. That's what I want. I don't want whatever Marvel was trying to do with that character. And I don't want anything from Echo either. Echo was a disaster. Give me Daredevil the way that we saw Daredevil in Netflix, and we're all good. So I'm hoping that's the case. They rehired the actress, Deborah Ann Wall that played Karen. They've hired everybody. Okay. They brought the whole gang back.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So thank you. Please give me what I got there because that's what worked. And, maybe I don't know. I don't think they listened to us. They just saw whatever they were doing wasn't working. But ultimately, that's the only thing right now with Marvel that I have a lot of confidence in. Fantastic Four, I'm still kind of maybe not. Everything else, I'm like, no, it's going to be a disaster. Thunderbolts, disaster. Captain America, Brave New World, disaster. Agatha, disaster. Ironheart, disaster. I think all of that stuff is just going to it's going to fall on deaf ears. Nobody's going to watch it. Nobody's going to care.
Yeah, I think the projects that seem like they are truly wanting to please the fans has any hope or potential. So yeah, Daredevil and Fantastic Four. And it sounds like Daredevil, they made significant changes behind the scenes. In regards to like the original characters they were bringing back, and are the original showrunners involved? I think so.
No, they're gone. That's the point. They fired all the showrunners, all the writers.
No, I mean from the original Netflix show.
No, they did not bring them. No,
I thought they were.
They already adapted this in the season 3 of Netflix, the Born Again storylines. So I don't know how they're going to do that. But bringing back Deborah Ann Wall and Foggy, even if it's just for one episode and more, it shows they're listening to something.
Well, it wasn't that they were listening. Is the fact that they actually had a time to review the footage because of the actors and writers strike. Like they had nothing to do. So when they actually sat down and watched it and they saw what it was, their natural taste came in and play and said, you know what? We can't sell this.
If only that had happened with Echo and everything else.
Exactly. Like they'd already wrapped Echo by that point.
Yeah.
And Ironheart's been in the can for like 2.5 years. So we have to be actually a little bit fortunate here because it gives you a highlight. Marvel and whatever Disney's doing, they're pumping stuff out so fast, so frequently that they don't have quality control anymore. And
the timeline wants to correct, and we're going to get a good Daredevil just because they had time.
Maybe, but the thing is the fact that because of the strikes and because they had nothing else they could do, they had to actually say, well, okay, let's take a look at what we've got here. Let's see how much advanced we can get prepped so we can fill in the gap. and then they saw, holy crap, this is going to kill us. And like, that's your one thing of hope. It just, it basically just highlights to the fact that Hollywood, you kind of have to hurry up and wait there's a reason it's a thing in Hollywood. Is because sometimes you just can't rush things out to hit a scheduled date. Sometimes you have to stop, take a moment, and do it. And that's what I really appreciate about James Gunn, who made these posts recently on, I think, Threads or something, where he's like, I barely have reshoots because I make sure that the script is in perfect condition, that everybody's happy with it, that everything can be done, and that we trial it out so that when we do go to production, we don't have to go back and reshoot everything.
Oh, they
He's
definitely
basically saying,
need that.
I am happy to delay a movie if I'm going to make the movie the best it can possibly be, which used to be the old model back then. Yeah, studios hated it because it racked up the price, but it's a lot cheaper than going back and having to reshoot a movie 2, 3, 4 times. Brave New World.
Like, amen.
Yeah.
And oh my God, I don't know if you guys saw that clip of the Red Hulk of
yes,
of Harrison Ford turning into the Red Hulk.
Isn't it great?
Oh wow, it's just
great
great.
25
so
years
bad.
Did you hear what he said? That he's not the first time he's acted dumb for money. That he just did not think about it.
Right.
Basically, just said he was high the whole time.
He
but good
just
for him.
gives zero Fs, man. Like he just doesn't care. As long as the check clears, that's all he cares about.
Yeah.
Alan, what were your thoughts? I mean, you were there, you were on the ground. I listened to your whole stream.
Yeah.
It was great to get you. I mean, I felt sad for you.
Yeah. I mean, if
for you, it was like a funeral as a Disney fan.
Yeah. You know, not to broaden things out, the impression I got is Disney has no direction. Disney has no idea what it's doing or where it's going. You know, there's no, what is the mission statement of Disney? I really, you know, all they're doing is just pumping out property after property after property. The majority of the movies they announced were all sequels. You know, they're just there to make money. They don't care about families anymore. Used to be that Walt Disney, he was there to entertain children and the young at heart. And now it's just making content constantly. The best thing they have is Bluey, and that's not even theirs.
Oh, yeah, that was strange. The biggest booth was Bluey.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I don't get it. Obviously, I don't have young
Bluey
kids.
resonates with people. It resonates with parents, with children.
Well,
you know,
what is Bluey for those of us?
Yeah, so it's a dog. It's a dog cartoon for kids.
Okay.
You can go to certain parts of Hollywood and get a thing called a Bluey.
Yeah,
that's
who was making the Bluey. Yeah, I know. Thank you.
It's not Disney for sure.
But the thing is that you know, you look at everything they announced, all the movies that Disney announced across the board, and the question I keep asking myself is, who is asking for this? Who is asking for Toy Story 5? You know, who is asking for Incredibles 3?
Shareholders.
Technically, the audiences that went and saw those first ones.
Are they?
Well, Inside Out 2 did so well. It's like, I can't blame them for doing that.
So we double down on
Well,
that.
look,
I prefer it to remakes.
Alan just said it. It's all prequels. It's all sequels. All they're doing is diving right back into the IP because they don't have any original ideas of how to do anything of their own. I just shared another screen, Chris, if you want to drop that on there.
Please.
So here's another screen that I'm sharing. This is all of the stuff that they've announced over. This is on Business Insider. I got a video coming up in a minute about this, but you can see right here, Moana 2, Mufasa the Lion King, Tron Ares, Zootopia, Freakier Friday, Frozen 3, Avatar Fire and Ash, Toy Story 5, Incredibles 3, and then Mando and Grogu. All of these are some sort of a sequel or a prequel or a spinoff. Disney does not have any ability to create new things, and this is the biggest studio right now. Well, the things that they are doubling and tripling down on, it seems like, are the old IPs. It's just so, like, Chris, you talk about pale and male is stale. Disney is stale. This is the stalest company right now. And Bob Iger is tripling down on this stuff. He does not have original ideas. All he wants to do is just dive back into the stuff that's worked before.
Right.
Yes, it's going to be
Disney has never had original ideas ever. The very first thing they did was adaptation of books, plays. all those types. Name, you know what was original from Disney? Tron in '82. But what are they doing? They're doing sequels to that.
True
The
that.
Thunderbolts was original. Everything that Pixar did was original. The thing is, you can't ask a studio that basically built their brand on adaptations of other IPs to be original, because that's not who they are. That's not what they're going to be. That's never what they're going to be.
But
they're
script,
not the Warner
but
Brothers,
script,
they're not Paramount, they're not Sony, they're not Universal.
Right.
They are.
The script. The fifth Toy Story. The fifth Toy Story. Like, who wants, like, the fourth Toy Story?
In Aladdin, straight to home video DVDs.
Okay, hold on. It's not that the adaptations were bad. It's the fact that they're going sequel after sequel. That entire list is all sequels.
Exactly.
You know, they have 2 original features. I don't know why it wasn't on that list, but it's Hopper and it's Elio. Elio was a property, an idea pushed a year out. So it was supposed to come out this year. It's coming out next year. Hopper is a story of a girl who's I don't know. I guess she possesses a beaver in the movie. And apparently she gets really excited if you tap her on the head. But why? Who's asking for these stories? Who's asking for any of this?
I can give you an answer to that. Because of the box office success of those original ones, that's who they think is asking for it. Because again,
that's who they think are asking for it, but who's actually asking for it?
People who are terrified about doing exactly what Derek and everybody else on this panel and chat wants. We want different stories.
But I'm saying of people who have money and have to go out and buy these things, buy tickets for these things. No one wants a Toy Story 5.
Well, the thing is,
I'll say the only thing I could conceivably think that people want is Encanto 2. That's about it.
Well, I'll put you this way. Art doesn't really have a demand until after the fact, right? Because again, much like with the controversy of AI, you cannot have made to order entertainment because people don't really want that. What you have to have is have someone passionate about a story, pushes it out there, and it creates interest in people. And the thing is, Disney doesn't really have that model. All they have is the fact that we've done these successful adaptations. Oh, you know what Eisner did in the late 80s and early 90s? He kept on making straight to DVD or straight to home video sequels of all the famous IPs that they'd done in that decade. Iger's like, you know what, that worked well for DVD in the VHS market. Since we don't have those anymore, we're just going to do it to theatrical, and we're just going to copy that thing over and over, failing to realize that even at that time, Disney acquired Pixar. Pixar was the original idea brand that generated in. They shuttered Touchstone, which meant that all the spec scripts for the more grown-up, but not necessarily adult, movies were not being produced at all. They then dumped a ton of money into Edgar Rice Burroughs' John Carter, and then they completely abandoned it because they decided, oh, we're going to buy Star Wars, then we're going to buy Marvel, and we're just going to do those types of things. The fact of the matter is that if you try to say, hey, what does the audience want, as opposed to, hey, let's try and give them something they haven't seen before, those are two different things. Because again, if you try to cater to the audience, which is what Disney has been doing with essentially the pandering aspect of this stuff, you end up satisfying nobody. But if you just put something out there that you think people might be interested in, there's always a chance you might actually create an audience and be a trailblazer of sorts. That's how Hollywood worked. The thing is that what does you want Disney to do? Send out a poll to everybody on the world and be like, hey, what do you want in a movie? They'll never get a homogenized enough answer to actually deliver on that product. The only thing that they can do is basically get a new regime of people on a panel of executives that say, all right, we need some stories that we can tell, and actually listen to people that have passionate, empathetic, interesting stories that they want to actually produce that fits to their brand. Because again, Disney's not really a family company. They're a company that pretends to be a family company. They've always been that. Walt and Ron Disney stumbled onto the fact that because of the dynamic between parents and children changed in the 1920s to 1940s, they realized that they market to kids, the parents will acquiesce. And that's what they did. That's what allowed them to sustain themselves. And when their movies weren't taking off and they were struggling because they're spending too much money on them, they invested in property, they created the Magic Kingdom, and they ended up becoming the outdoor mall that happens to make film and television to advertise their tourist trap. And that's what Disney is, and that's what Disney has always been. And people
think the problem that I see, well, maybe just me. Okay, maybe it's just me. But the problem I see is that right now we are in a very competitive environment where, you have a million different ways to watch, movies, television, you have streaming, you have YouTube, you have, all kinds of different streaming services. And it seems like Disney is just doubling down on the stuff that worked, I guess, back in the past, but they're not bringing in a voice like a John Lasseter or somebody that can do the Pixar type content where we have a new voice, a new idea, different way of looking at things. Pixar came in and they completely revolutionized the game, in my opinion, because they, you know, were dropping brand new IPs, and they were creating IPs like as they go. When you talk about Incredibles, when you're talking about Toy Story, when you're talking about Nemo, that's what Disney needs to do, you know. And to me, they're just saying, well, we're just going to go back to the IP model and we're just going to keep churning out the old stuff, because to your point, Script, that's exactly what Disney did from the very beginning. They just adapted old school fairy tales from the very beginning. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs was the first movie, and that's just an old Grimm's Brothers fairy tale.
Walt Disney understood good properties. You know, the fact that he read Mary Poppins and said, I need to make this movie.
That's what I'm saying. Yep. They need those guys back. Okay. They need people that will go in and say, okay, what's new? What's different? What hasn't been unearthed? You know, and then let's go and do that rather than adapting or recontextualizing the Little Mermaid with a black Little Mermaid in it. Let's go and find some other stories that we can adapt, and let's put our money and our attention and our time into that. That's not what Disney is doing. They're just going right into the IP mine. Like the little dwarves just mining IPs inside their little IP mine, and that's all they care to do. And it's like, well, where's the creativity in that? And I think that's the biggest reason why Disney keeps failing, is because they keep doubling and tripling down on their old school IPs. Yeah, every once in a while, Inside Out 2, look, it did great. I can't deny it. But I think they're taking the wrong lesson from that, because number one, Inside Out wasn't woke. It wasn't full of DEI bull crap. All right. It was actually, you know, entertaining and engaging. Okay. Do that with some other stories, but then, you know, don't just keep diving back into the IP. And let's give them Toy Story 5, and let's give them the third Frozen. And I mean, it's like, come on, guys. At what point, right, at third or fourth or fifth, like at what point in time are we just going to start creating new things? You know, to me, that's where Disney, they have the money. They should have access to all the talent in Hollywood that they could possibly want. Get back into making creative, because again, this is the reason why it's stuff like anime, which you see all behind me. This is the reason why these properties take off. And this, I just came from an anime convention. Over the weekend. And I mean, everybody, nobody cares about Disney. They care about the newest, latest anime that just dropped. And some of them work, some of them don't. But that's where, like, I feel like Western entertainment is missing a big piece to the puzzle. People want originality. People want uniqueness. People want different. They're tired of just running through the same old sequel mines over and over and over again. And that's all we got. Mostly all we got at D23 this weekend.
Well, that's the thing. We didn't even get a lot of D23 as far as the Marvel stuff goes, man. Like, from what I heard, there was no Thunderbolts. There was no.
No, that was San Diego. The TV show is what they were promoting at D23.
The Pixar TV show.
No, the Marvel TV show.
Yeah, and then also Pixar announced their very first original series. It's about kids playing baseball.
Yeah, guess what? They announced that at the last D23.
Right. Here's an announcement. Yeah. No one is talking about this announcement, and that's right. The third Avatar movie has a title. It's Avatar Fire and Ash. It's in theaters December 19th, 2025. Everyone's talking about it. Everyone's talking about it. And when I say everyone, I mean no one is talking about this. But this movie, the second Avatar movie, Quietly, The Way of Water, I can't believe I remember the title. That movie quietly made over $1 billion and then left no cultural.
Yeah, I think it made 2 of it, didn't it?
Yeah. Like,
I remember one thing from that movie, the boat captain saying, if you can't get out of it, get into it.
Right.
Which I say a lot these days. But yeah.
But that movie quietly came out, was a huge hit, leaves no cultural footprint at all. And the third movie's announced. Now, I didn't see one video talking about D23 that mentioned this movie. This is huge
because no one cares.
Well, they didn't show anything. It was just James Cameron and the actors Zoe Saldana and Sam Worthington, and that was it. So yeah, for these projects, they didn't show anything to the public. It was mostly just their animated stuff and stuff that I just don't think the adults, I guess, would care about, like the Marvel stuff, like Daredevil and Fantastic Four. That's what I want to see. And they, like Tron Ares, we didn't get any of that footage that's made public. I've seen it leaked, but not in an official capacity. So I think that's kind of squashed it. I have no idea why they chose to. I don't know. It's much more skewed towards their kids' properties as opposed to like these other things, which I think would be getting more traction online. But they didn't show much about it.
Yeah, here's the thing. 2 years ago at D23, we were talking about Avatar: The Way of Water the exact same way we're talking about Avatar: Fire and Ash. We were not talking about it. We were not saying anything good about it. And yet it still made $2 billion. It's something about Avatar. It's something about James Cameron. We're not talking about it, but by golly, it'll probably make another $2 billion when it comes out later this year.
See, that's where the star power is nowadays. It's in directors, it's in filmmakers, and people can bank on James Cameron. And I think that the next one's going to do well too.
Well, they have been for like 30 years. There's actually a phrase in Hollywood, which is "Don't bet against James Cameron." The problem being is that if filmmakers are going to be the stars, there's barely enough. You can count on one hand of filmmakers out there that actually have an impact. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Here's the interesting thing. Okay, so I'm looking at the numbers here. Avatar: The Way of Water made $2.3 billion, but it only made $6.8 million in the United States. It's got a big international audience, and that's where a lot of this money is going to come from.
Yep.
I mean, that's the magic there. This Avatar resonates everywhere else but America.
And how much did it cost to make it?
Probably $1 billion.
All you have to do is not be bad.
Is that you can carry the cost of Avatar: The Way of Water into Fire and Ash, so it'll probably cost less as each film comes out.
Did he shoot them together, or were they shot separately?
No, they were shot separately, but when you talk about the production, building sets and stuff like that, the sets have been built.
Gotcha.
You can
Well,
reuse that technology.
One thing about The Way of Water, I actually saw it after it came out in theaters because I didn't like the first one, and I didn't think like what would change. But so I did watch it later after I saw Dune Part 2, and surprisingly, there were some themes and storylines that I was missing from Dune Part 2 that were present in The Way of Water. So Neytiri's story, she basically is a Chani-like character. And also with Kira, the Sigourney Weaver's character, she kind of behaved, or her storyline was very similar to Aaliyah, that we also were missing crucial parts of from Dune Part 2. So I thought that was kind of funny to see it in the wake of that. So we kind of pivoted away from Pocahontas or the Dances with Wolves, which is, I think, good for the franchise. And now it's leaning more into Dune. And hopefully with what he explained about Fire and Ash, it has a lot of like Dune Messiah-esque storyline. So I don't know. We'll see how that goes. But I'm actually anticipating the third movie, surprisingly.
Elaine, that's very it's true. Actually, when Avatar came out, that was one of the factors that killed the Dune project when it was at Paramount. The stories were too close. They're very similar. The first Avatar, very similar to Dune. So that
but is that what sells Avatar? Is Avatar sold by the story, or is it sold by the visual effects and James Cameron? You got to see it with the 3D glasses on. You got to watch it in this like high impact kind of format where I think that's what the selling point of Avatar has always been. At least for me, it is. Because otherwise it's just a movie. It's like, all right, it's a cool movie, but the reason why everybody flocked at least to that first one is that it is an event. And that's what Hollywood needs. They need event films like Avatar that bring a lot of people into the theaters. And, it's like, oh my God, it's a visual masterpiece. Look what James Cameron did with the underwater graphics. It looks almost real. That's why a lot of people come and check this thing out.
It was Dances with Wolves in space. It was, but it was beautiful. That's why people went.
Beautiful. It appealed to an international audience, because usually when you look at these numbers, domestic and international are usually run neck and neck. But here, the international just blew it out of the water compared to the domestic numbers.
Yeah, like 3 times.
Yeah.
So all these announcements, right? Some rehash from Hall H at San Diego Comic-Con. They talked more about the Disney Plus stuff, but there weren't many new announcements. I mean, this Pixar series, okay, even that's old and a holdover. A lot of you could have a list of Disney successes, cross off the number and put a new number like Toy Story 5. So here's the thing to pay attention to. The Disney stock didn't move. It's still in the 80s, even with this big event in the Honda Center it was almost 4 times the audience of Hall H in San Diego. All these announcements didn't move the stock. It's sluggish in the 80s. So any analysis on that? Like, what are your thoughts?
I'm not buying stock.
What's that?
You know, I wouldn't buy stock right now, banking on like, oh, let me get it now while it's low. I don't think they'll ever be profitable again, because they'll never do what they need to do to be really, truly profitable. They'll never get rid of the people they would need to get rid of.
And these events, they love to announce things. It's just for that. Like, I think they're just waiting to see actual tangible financial results, because they've been known, and maybe this is why they've shown so little of Marvel things, because remember before they had this huge timeline of Marvel projects, and like half of those didn't come into fruition. So I think they're being conservative now, and yeah, it's just announcements still of stuff to come. Nothing really tangible yet. They have some things in the work that look positive and look good, but
well,
yeah.
I think we're in the wait and see era of Disney,
Yeah.
right? Like no look, man, Disney hasn't proven themselves yet. Like, they haven't proven anything. You know, one or two hits out of the past 4 years.
Yeah,
That's not proof of anything.
That does not count. That is not Disney. That is a holdover. Everyone's saying goodbye to the Fox universe. So yeah.
Well, yeah, like Yash is saying, Disney made $3 billion in 3 months.
Stop it.
You know, so they've had look, Deadpool and Wolverine just passed $1 billion global. So
it's also not net profit. I mean, profit is much.
But that's one movie. I'll take $1 billion.
And they have a lot to make up for in losses.
Yes, and that's a lot more with everything we know coming out.
Yeah.
They have years to make up for.
Yeah, but to have 2 $1 billion movies in a year,
and
to have moderate success so far this year, movie-wise, it's looking good. But again, it's not translating at all on the stock market. You know, the stock market crashed last week. It rebounded, yet Disney didn't rebound with it.
Yeah, the stock market, at least on the entertainment side, is really weird because you have a lot of these hit pieces going after Zaslav at Warner Brothers, even though they're kind of trying to do everything right to keep Hollywood on track. Yet the stock market isn't moving. It's actually going against it. But over on the Disney side, you don't get a single hit piece against Disney for their errors and what they've been doing. And if anything, you get an inflation of their stock price. I think them at 80s in the 80s is the stock market trying to keep Disney that high artificially as opposed to the natural course of things, because the performance, the direction, the fact that you haven't had any change in leadership in nearly 20 years, that is detrimental to a company that its entire purpose is to grow, change, and expand with the times. And instead, what Disney is doing is that they're co-opting other things and trying to force their perspective into those things as a means to market. And it's always backfired. It's a miracle that Deadpool and Wolverine was the way it was, because Bob Chapek, when he was in charge for that brief period, was the one that signed it off and said, hey, good to go. And then on top of that, you have Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively. Both their movies are dominating the weekend right now. And it's caused such a huge draw of resources that even though we mentioned that Borderlands had only $8.8 million of the weekend, it was still in 4th place. 10, 15 years ago, $8.8 million in the weekend would have been like they're below 10th, because there were actually like teens, like, you know, 15, 20, $30 million opening weekends that are back to back with your top slate of films. It's showing that there's not enough out there that people will go want to see. And when they do want to see it, it all gets directed into one aspect. Like Deadpool and Wolverine crosses $1 billion, but when you take a look at the domestic and the international, they are neck and neck. I think there's like only like $50 or $60 million, but a difference between the domestic and international for them to hit that billion. That's a good sign. But we're not going to get things like that anymore with the current Disney leadership. And I think even though the stock market is trying to keep Disney's price as high as they can, the rest of the world is realizing that this is like a one and done type of thing. This is
Here's the other thing: we're headed into a recession, most likely. What's the first thing that people stop spending money on? It's entertainment.
Entertainment, yeah.
Alcohol.
And there's a lot of free entertainment out there.
Start spending more money on.
Yeah, alcohol goes up, buddy. Y'all know what you're talking about.
I'm telling you, though, Skeleton Crew is going to be the one to save and turn this all around.
Hey, we did
that way.
Hey, should we do a react? Let's do a react to that.
I have
Because
had my audience is
thoughts.
going to kill me. I've had
Brilliant
to defend
segue.
this, and I'm shitting on it. But I've had to defend it because Star Wars lore. I hate it.
Hang on, Badger. I'll get it. Give me a second. I gotta make it.
Dude, when I saw that trailer, man, I was like, "This is it. This is the end. This is the end right here."
The power of
I'm gonna tell you right now, I don't hate the trailer. I don't hate the trailer.
Star Wars theory.
Baby Max Rebo will
There's
save
one
Star
thing about the
Wars.
trailer I hate more than anything I've ever hated when it comes to Star Wars, and I think we all know what that is.
I know what you're talking about too. I think I know what you're talking about.
I'm talking about the suburbs,
wasn't it?
That's exactly what I meant.
One at a time. One at a time, please. One person at a time.
I'm talking about the suburbs, okay? The Star Wars suburbs. It took me out. I'm like, no, we're done.
No, Dante, let's give it a chance. Here, we're gonna watch it. It's very short.
Because honestly,
Just
Space
watch
Soccer
this
looks
trailer,
really cool.
and then we'll react on the other side. Sorry, I gotta get this over here. All right, okay, you ready, everybody? Okay, Alan,
Let's do it. Let's effing go.
Tomorrow's test
Come
will
on.
set the course of your entire future.
Don't you ever want to do anything exciting? Like what? What if we could go anywhere we want in the whole galaxy? A real adventure. No more pretend. I found something buried in the woods. What do you think it is? I think it's a lost Jedi temple. Hello? Be careful where you step. We're lost. Really lost.
It is dangerous out there in space. Trust no one.
Literal key jangle.
You're a Jedi.
Uh-oh. Jedi are bad guys, so
Okay, wait. Before everyone starts arguing, yes, you would find it's possible that in the grand new republic of the many thousands of worlds, one of them would look like that. But boy, did you not need to show it. I hate it too. Yes, it's possible, but I hate it too. And
Chris,
Star
you're
Wars fans
muted.
loved it. Oh, sorry.
Chris, you're mute. Oh, no.
Oh, he's gone now. Star Wars Theory loves it because he says, oh, it's Goonies and Stranger Things, and it's just not shitting on all the things that we just got crapped on. So I get why people like it. I hate it.
that's
I
least
agree.
least offensive. Least offensive. Like it's
It's
not
the least
just like
offensive. Yes.
It's, you know what it reminds me of? There was a Nickelodeon show in the mid 90s called Space Cases, and I think that's what this is.
That Explorers. There's a couple of different ones, but yeah, why do
Explorers.
this?
This is Explorers. This
The
is Goonies.
Authorian walking the dog.
Oh my, yeah. If you didn't have the Star Wars Easter eggs, you wouldn't know that this is Star Wars. I just
No.
wish that this would be just another space, whatever child-centric
9
sci-fi
years.
property.
9
I
years
think-
ABY. Sorry, I just want to say the time frame. So just like 5 years after Return of the Jedi is when that's taking place.
Does this
That's
look
when
like it
this is?
belongs in the same universe as
Yes.
Andor?
Yes.
No, it
Wow.
it's
Sure.
a completely different vibe.
No.
Yes.
I literally
sure.
thought we would see some guy mowing his lawn.
Yeah.
I'm
But that's
like,
the point.
what am I watching here, man?
Watching
Andor
it
looked
on.
basic too.
lawn. He has a space
Yes.
lawn. Okay, so wait. I don't have a problem with this.
I knew it.
I
I didn't
don't
respond when I said it was horrible. I was like, oh no, he likes it.
No. Wait. I don't because first of all, I don't care. I'm not
Right.
the audience.
Right.
It's a
I'm
dead
not going to
franchise,
give a
Thor.
crap. This is for kids. Look, when I was a kid, I didn't like the Ewok movie or they made 2 Ewok movies.
That's fair. That's fair.
Which I have on Laserdisc. And let me just say, I didn't like those, but I don't have a problem that it exists. I'm not the target. It's Goonies. It's Stranger Things with Star Wars. It doesn't betray anything. It's not like Acolyte. Acolyte was offensive, but not everything that's Star Wars. I don't watch the Lego Star Wars, but it's for kids. I don't have a problem that it exists. It doesn't ruin anything. It's a different demo, right? So when I look at that, it's like, oh, that looks really fun. It's not for me, but I recognize that people like it. I'm not going to hate on it because it's not
ratioed.
Do you think kids of today would like it? I mean, you yourself didn't like the Ewok stuff as a kid. Do you think kids today would like this?
Yes, and I'll tell you why. And let me explain my answer. Because this is what Disney does well. Shows for little kids, like that demo. That if you take Star Wars out of it, that's a Disney Channel show, right?
Yeah.
And so
but you put Star Wars in it. That's the problem.
Right. What I'm saying is I don't care about it in it, but it's not like Acolyte was. I mean, the Acolyte was beyond the pale. It was just god awful. But this is whatever.
It's not getting destroyed. 49,000 upvotes to 22,000 downvotes with almost 4 million, a little over 3.7.
It's not ratioed.
It's not ratioed. No, it's not.
It's amazing what can be accomplished when you don't want it to destroy your brand and
the
just
comments
create
are all
a
the
good
same.
story.
The comments are all about space suburbs.
That's what's working with it is it doesn't feel like it's about to destroy Star Wars even more than it's already destroyed Star Wars. It feels very, very safe. We're just going to play it safe. It's Amblin entertainment style for the kids. It's Goonies. It's the Explorers. It's that. That's what this is. And it feels okay. I don't hate it. I just don't hate it,
I guess I'm just tired of Star Wars being treated as a skin instead of an actual story IP. I'm tired of Harlequin romance with a Star Wars skin like we had in the Acolyte, and this is just more of the same. It's Goonies with a Star Wars
Goonies.
Skin.
Leave Star Wars alone.
No,
why is there another Jedi
Goonies.
alive?
Do not remake.
Sorry, you know what I mean. But now we have another Jedi alive.
But even the music sounded like something that would come off of E.T. This mystical,
it
magical.
Looked like E.T.
And it did. And honestly, as a kid that grew up in the 80s and got all of that entertainment, I don't mind a series returning me to that. I don't mind that. Considering Disney has been pushing all kinds of agenda-laced nonsense. Okay. I'm not going to hate on this. I'm going to actually give this an opportunity to see how this fits in within the Star Wars franchise. Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it's trash. Maybe it's great. I don't know. But I'm going to give it an opportunity because the people that made this, all right, one of the, I looked up the directors that made this. We got the directors from Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. That they're directing an episode. Bryce Dallas Howard, who's Ron Howard's daughter, obviously is directing an episode. We got the guy that directed Twisters, okay? The guy that directed Twisters, who says, I don't believe entertainment should be about agenda. I think entertainment should be strictly about entertaining. He directed a couple of episodes. And then, of course, John Watts, who did the Spider-Man trilogy. So these are 4 directors that I'm okay with. I'm like, okay, you guys, you get the job done. Jon Favreau is at the helm of it. I'm going to give it a shot. I'm not going to hate on it right off rip. But I'm going to cover it. And if the first episode is bad, I'm going to call it bad. I'm going to call it like I see it.
Right.
Well, you're missing one important part. It's Dave Filoni and Carrie Beck are involved in this, and they've been involved in every Disney Plus series.
The space pirates from Mando season 3 will be in it.
Yeah, I heard that. Okay, but will it
ruin the Hutt?
Will it ruin the legacy of Cy Snoodles at all, or any of the? Will there be a Cy Snoodles?
That's Nice Noodles kid.
Call out.
That's the one with the long.
The little elephant head.
Yeah, this is Max Rebo. Max Rebo's the Orderland, which is the blue elephant-looking species.
Max Rebo?
Yeah, so this is his illegitimate child.
That's the movie I want to see.
Oh yeah. Wait. Was there any news on Acolyte 2 though? Season 2. Any news?
Just their Wish campaign.
It's not going to happen.
I was going to say, don't you tell me.
But they might work that character into something. Who knows?
Manny Jacinto is in Freakier Friday. He's Lindsay Lohan's husband.
Oh, look at him.
So he's getting work regardless.
Look at him still getting work.
Yeah.
Alan, do we have? I mean, there's a lot of D23 news, and I know you had a lot of news stories. We'll do those on Wednesday, Alan.
Yeah.
We'll do them on Wednesday. But
Well, there was a lot of Star Wars stuff that they announced, right?
Was there?
We just saw it.
Just the Mandalorian and
I thought there was some
Grogu.
other things that they.
The Mandalorian and Grogu that leaked. It looked whatever.
Yeah, it wasn't official footage, so you can't.
We
play
can
that.
guess what's going to happen, right? He'll probably
That's such a horrible name for a
replaced with
movie.
Katie Sackhoff.
It's a very Disney lazily named thing. Alan, bring us home. Land the plane on the final on D23 since you are the expert. And you also, by the way, Alan was not press approved. Alan,
yeah, I wasn't there.
No, Alan took. He may have borrowed. He may have borrowed my badge to get in. I don't know.
We wouldn't do that.
Fell on the floor and then someone picked it up.
Yeah, I think that's probably what happened.
So, what final thoughts before we go to supers?
Yeah, I mean, I think I mentioned it before. Disney is in survival mode at the moment, and everything they're doing is, why am I big? Why am I big? They're just in survival mode. Who knows what's going to happen? And again, I mentioned it during the live stream. I mentioned a moment ago. What is the vision of the Walt Disney Company? Why are they making the things they make outside of just appeasing stockholders?
This is kind of like Disney right now.
That's accurate.
They're clearly playing it safe.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to go into lore destroying, watch the Parks panel and what they're about to do to Frontierland and the mental gymnastics they're doing.
I heard they were getting rid of the Mark Twain River. I heard they were getting rid of that. Is that right?
That's what that is what I heard. I don't know that I can verify it, but yeah, the rumor is Tom Sawyer Island and the rivers of America are going to go away at the Magic Kingdom for Cars Land.
Well, that sounds about right.
I mean,
that's crazy.
Sad.
And they're saying, the spirit of Frontierland can easily be transposed to the movie Cars.
Huh?
Makes no sense.
No.
Oh, well, mountains have bayou, so let's do Tiana's Splash Mountain as a bayou. That also is a logical non-fallacy.
Yeah. I wish I could show stuff from Tron Ares. I actually, for the first time, have a glimmer of hope. Dare I hope that this movie will be good?
I'm a huge Tron fan.
Hedlund isn't coming back, then no.
What?
I'm
Sam Flynn isn't coming back.
One at a time here.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, Kevin
Sam Flynn isn't coming back. He should.
Kevin Flynn is back.
Yeah, but it's Jared Leto.
Bridges. Yeah,
he's a curse.
Yeah. I just don't trust him, man. I love Tron Legacy. Like, I love the original Tron. I know a lot of people hated Tron Legacy.
Tron Legacy is awesome.
I will defend it to my last breath. I love Tron Legacy. I want to have hope for this new movie. I just can't let myself do it.
Yeah.
All right.
I have a glimmer of hope. It's not much, but it's there.
All right, let's go to supers. People have been waiting patiently, so thank you for that. Badger, are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Let's go.
I'm ready. A graph web for 2 in the name of all that is holy. Hashtag cancel Disney Plus. Oh, don't make me full screen.
Well, the prices are going up. I'm sure they will.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are.
Zach up to graph for 5.
One
One Piece got it right, and Hollywood became blind to natural diversity / writing. Sucks what D has done to Swars / M and other studios with built-in audiences.
Yeah. Thank you.
Jasper Silva for 20. They had a video game IP and thought it was the time to do it because other video game IPs were successful. Fair warning, the same producers are involved with the Zelda adaptation, so temper your expectations, folks.
Really?
Thank you, Jasper.
I know Wes Ball is directing. I don't know the other information on that.
Chris 1306 for 14. Why is Eli Roth allowed to still make movies? Well,
good question.
Because Zack Snyder is still allowed to make movies.
And
Be good in horror? Isn't that his tick?
Akiva Goldsman is still writing. Alex Kurtzman's still writing. It's all, he's been into the game long enough where people will give him work if he
grandfathered in, basically, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Boney Tony for 5. I hope BioShock is done right. Hold on to that hope.
Is that on Netflix?
I'm not sure what they're doing right now, if that's been confirmed, but we'll see. Thomas Pickett for 2. I still want my money back from MK Annihilation.
That was a terrible movie.
Yes, it was.
True, but I liked the BioShock game. I think is
great.
amazing. The design, the music, the story, everything about the BioShock game, sort of a retro future from the 1920s.
Oh, BioShock was amazing.
There's
BioShock,
3 games.
I mean, I
They
got
can do
choked up
Infinite.
at the end.
Yeah.
I got choked
I
up.
don't know. I don't know much
Okay,
about
so
the
at-
adaptation.
So they announced BioShock at Comic-Con.
no.
It's director Francis Lawrence. It'll be more personal with a reduced budget and still be on Netflix.
Good. And it's the first BioShock?
Okay.
Like in Rapture? Oh, okay, because 3 different stories, 3 different environments. Nathan Cassidy, 999. I can say that a Borderlands movie was doomed from the start. While it has its hardcore fans, it's one of the most divisive IPs in gaming. There was no brand love they could fall back on. I mean,
That's not true.
That's not true. Yeah, it's divisive, but there was surely someone if they just done the first movie accurately, yeah, with likable
And market
characters.
it?
Yeah,
I don't think they marketed this movie at all.
Not to gamers.
But I mean, he didn't even
No.
try.
He did. That's what I'm
He
saying. They
said
didn't
he
even try.
didn't even try. You know, like
Yeah.
try to cater to the hardcore fan. He didn't even try. That
Respect
to
the
me
super
is
chat,
unforgivable, man.
Like
I
I would see
disagree.
a ton of articles from Jonathan Nolan, like addressing the fans directly and what they could expect. I haven't heard a peep out of Eli Roth about Borderlands.
Pilgrim Media for 2. Mental midgets aside, we love little folk.
We do.
Thanks.
We do.
I just get paid to read it. Oliver Laveri Farag for 10. I thought the reason for using existing IP for a film was to mitigate financial risk. If you don't want that audience, then making an original movie makes more sense. You would get less negative press.
Yes, but Hollywood is too corporate right now, and nobody who's there knows how to actually make movies. So they're just going by what they were taught in college and seeing how it doesn't play out in the actual workplace.
By the way, we have a very diverse audience, including little people. Shout out. I won't say his name, but like they've talked about it in the comments. They're not happy with Peter's comments about the whole thing. Shout out, bro. You're probably in this chat. WG for 20. Peter Dinklage always last to know when it's raining.
Thanks, WG.
Jesus.
Will Young for 5. He's probably laughing at that. He's probably laughing at that joke. Will Young for 5. There's M words and then there's dwarves, and Peter Dinklage is being a midget, all capital. Well,
I still don't know why that's a bad word, man.
Because there's little people, there's people with dwarfism, and then them, whatever. It's just the word they've latched onto. Thomas Pickett, member for 6 months. Disney needs to learn loss cost fallacy.
Oh, they'll never learn anything.
G-Man for 5. Snow White can't be doing housework. She's going into STEM.
Yeah. When she sings whistle while you work, she means while you do the work, and I just say and watch you.
Yeah, I just whistle.
Yeah, okay.
Box Office Brawler for 5. I've become a grand admirer of Verbal Riot. I respect your efforts to promote and defend masculinity against woke Hollywood. Hope we can meet someday.
Oh, thank you very much, man. Thank you very much.
We
need it.
masculine.
We need it. We need masculinity so bad.
We do. Jackson
And
Caggle
we need
for 2.
romance. We need romance, damn it.
Heteronormativity is what you're saying. Woo, film threat. What I miss. Laugh out loud.
Thanks.
I got a Rumble rant. John Goetz, $1. The MCU, total disaster. Everybody knows. Crazy Kevin Feige, he screws it all up. Doesn't know what he's doing. Sam Wilson, I thought he was Falcon. What's wrong with Falcon? Terrible.
Nothing.
We know what's wrong with Falcon. They don't see. Gary used to say it, and I thought he was being hyperbolic. He's not. They do not see legitimacy in characters that are not white, which is why they have to give that to already established characters. And that's why Miles Morales can't just be Miles Morales.
So originally, I thought that Steve Rogers giving Sam Wilson the shield was like symbolic as to him being the leader of the Avengers. I thought that's what that meant. I didn't think he would literally be taking on the name Captain America. He's been Falcon for his whole entire
in the comic he
career.
did become Captain America for a while, but my thing is it should have always been Bucky.
He needed a new identity.
In the comic. Yeah.
He needed a redemption arc, right? But they had to skip over him and go to what modern politics
But even
dictated.
with Bucky, it didn't seem, I can't see him being the leader of the Avengers. I don't know about that, but it did seem like it was more of a symbolic gesture. Not that here you literally take my name. I never took it as that. And I don't know why they've forced his character into that. It's really just seems forced and unnatural and just totally inorganic. And I know they're trying to say, oh, the comics did this. But just because the comics did it doesn't mean it makes sense to translate it in this way for the visual medium. Doesn't make
but then
sense.
you're no
for
longer
the
honoring the source material, nerd cookies.
Yeah.
And then
well, they
had a
didn't
motion.
adapt the Infinity Saga exactly as it was in the comics. There's some leeway you need to take when you're but yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. It's the whole thing. It's like, do we want proper adaptations of the source material, or do we want to not have Sam Wilson become Captain America for a short term? Like, those are the two options that you have to kind of reconcile with. And this is also why, what we're seeing with Marvel doing is they're adapting the latter half of the 20th century and the early half of the 21st century of comic books by writers who are not really good at their job when they wrote those comic books at the time. They were deadline writers. They were just hitting a mark. There's a reason that a lot of people left and went and formed Image. They just did not like what was going on over there.
Yeah. I mean, they made this story their own, so they should have gone from what they established in this long storied MCU, the saga that was the Infinity War and all that. You should have built off of that instead of just trying to use this lazy excuse. It just doesn't fit. It just doesn't fit.
Yep.
Also, when Falcon became Captain America, it was at a time when there was a change at Marvel where they were going in a much more woke direction with Ms. Marvel and all the other things. Yeah. So it's the reason it was in the comics because someone asked them to put it in the comics so they could put it in the movie.
Yeah.
That's how that works.
All right.
Unfortunately. Willie, the Monkey King's music 5. Disney is in no position financially to take the marketing risk to bring brand awareness and general risk to make original IPs.
Thank you, Willie.
Yeah. Yep. James Heikkinen for 5. Morgoth couldn't create new life. He could only corrupt what is good. Disney today is like that. They cannot create new, only corrupt.
Yeah. Go Morgoth.
So true.
I watched Tron Legacy last night.
And Clue.
Kevin Flynn says Clue. He can't create new programs. He can only repurpose them or destroy them. I was like, boy, oh boy, does that line hit differently. Daniel Sinistam, member for 4 months. You did a trial and a funeral. How about secret agents with spies, villains, henchmen, and beautiful women to drag out every secret of a dying franchise?
Yeah.
Yeah. Doing the math on how we would do that, but yeah. Albert, not a retro for 5. How about movies based on African myths, Mistis allure? Oh, wait, the villain might be black in those. Back to race swapping.
Well, actually,
you know how many? I was going to say, you know how many African mermaid stories there were?
Yes.
I mean, a million of them. And all you had to do, Disney, instead of trying to do The Little Mermaid, is adapt one of those news stories about African mermaids instead of race swapping a Danish mermaid into a black mermaid. That would have made so much more sense. You would have added to your lore. You could have built the Little Mermaid cinematic universe or whatever it is you wanted to do. You would have actually built your franchise instead of torn down one. I don't think anybody cares about a Little Mermaid 2 at this point.
Well, Alan, aren't they making there's a animation studio in Africa they're working with?
They have actually their show is on Disney Plus right now.
Oh,
yeah, but they
is that Imaju or Ijamu? I forgot it. The name.
Yeah,
of it.
there's two of them. It's the one
there's a couple of series
futuristic and
yeah,
it actually has an interesting and dangerous plot associated with it. So
yeah, why don't you know about it, Derek?
I don't know, man.
You should
how is it the Asian
they don't advertise it, man. They don't talk about it.
Yeah, I've never heard of it till now.
It makes you wonder why they don't.
I heard about the Imaju or Ijamu or whatever it is. There is a series that's like a 6-episode kid series, and it's not bad.
That's the one. It's from a Nigerian animation studio that partnered with Disney. Yeah,
it's good. It's like dive into that instead of rehashing your old IPs. Like really pump that stuff up. Put all the marketing arms and the money and all of that into that content and build it instead of just doubling and tripling down on your old IP. It's so lazy and
I feel like you weren't paying attention to Script Doctor's dissertation, which I did actually learn something because this is all Disney has ever done.
Yeah,
they took popular stories and then adapted them, and now they're taking those popular stories and they'll keep doing that. They've never done anything original. Even Lion King was Simba the White Lion or whatever it was.
To be fair, Alan still has not seen Dee. So that's a mark on your record, Alan. You have not seen Dee.
Albert Not a Retro for 5. As I've said before, Disney owns Marvel and Star Wars. The stories are already written. How do you mess up a paint by number so badly? You throw them all out as soon as you buy them.
Albert, that's so true.
It's like you're saying they were handed a script when they bought Star Wars. I mean, really?
Like 3 of them?
Yeah.
John goes for 1. Avatar also had a nice wait between releases. You all right?
Sorry. Yeah, just my mic fell down.
Oh. Avatar also had a nice wait between releases. We will see if franchise fatigue takes effect if it's the same story again without the 13-year break to build up anticipation this time.
Same thing with Tron too. It's been 10 years.
It's been a while since Tron Legacy. Yeah.
Almost, I think, right?
Albert Not a Retro for 5. Don't hate the trailer, hate the game. No, wait. That's not what Book T says. I'll never be black cool at this rate.
Especially if you don't spell Booker T right.
Bad Coyote Funky for 10. Just tuned in. What's up, crew? As a fan of the Borderlands game, who's played them for countless hours, I cannot express enough my disappointment in the movie. Big L.
Is that really good of a game?
Thanks, Bad Coyote Funky.
Did I really play this game or?
It's a fun
friends. Game. Borderlands 1 and 2 is fun. I played the pre-sequel 3, but yeah.
All right.
Drake Timbershaft for 10. Does Skeleton Crew take place during the Empire, the Old Republic, or the Puff Puff Pass High Republic? So as we answered, it's 9 years ABY, which means 5 years after Return of the Jedi. That's the same time period as Mandalorian and all the other stuff. But what they think is the ship they find is a High Republic ship. Jedi ship.
Is this the New Republic era? Is that what they call it?
So this is the New Republic would be over. So you would find core worlds that would be safe and mundane, as with the kids that would hear tales of the old Jedi that now they found out weren't evil because, you know, Palpatine got replaced. And so, yeah, you would maybe hear tales of Luke, but he hasn't rebuilt his Jedi Order yet. So
it's not looking good for them.
Stitch, remember, for
not looking good for Jude Law.
Been listening, just sat down. Elaine's Avatar. Ooh, woo.
Oh, thank you.
Art.
Very popular.
Jeffro Maddox for 2. BL had an opportunity to use rotoscoping. What the fuck? Yes, Borderlands to use rotoscoping and make the animation the same way the games look. I agree.
Real people.
Cool look.
Scanner Darkly, like something like that, but it could have been Borderlands. Albert Not a Retro for 5. Making Bucky Captain America doesn't work either. 9 words in Russian, and the most trusted figure in America is the deletion machine. They broke him of that. In the later movies. Pilgrim Media for 2. Africa was the cradle of life. Do original. Pilgrim Media for 2. Africa was the cradle of life. Do original. I agree. Mitochondrial Eve. You're right.
Yep.
There we go. All right. That's it for Supers. Hey.
One more correction.
One more.
Jeffro Maddox. Did you do
DA
that?
Shamed him. Albert Not a Retro for 2. Sorry, I got auto corrected on.
All right, Matt, you safe now, bro. Good job, Albert. Okay, you corrected yourself.
Did we do this one? Already?
Yeah, I'll do it again though. Jeffro Maddox for 5. Why wasn't rotoscoping used for Borderlands? Are these people even fans of the games? Would have been perfect to capture the look and feel of the games.
The answer is no.
Yeah,
Eli
I don't
Roth
even think they played them.
They didn't want. They didn't care about.
All right, and that wraps it up for another edition. Want to thank the mods here that are hanging out with us. Lord Thoth. Want to thank Tom McLaury working in the wings with her new Cara Dune figure. And I also want to thank Glenn Nuccio, our producer, and all of our guests on today. Links to their channels in the description, so subscribe to all of them. We will be back next week. Actually, Dante and I are off to see the new Alien.
Yeah,
we are leaving.
Fingers crossed on that one.
I will pick you up at the rendezvous point, Dante.
Yeah,
about 5-ish to text me, and that's it. Alan, you got anything? We'll be back on. Wednesday.
With a whole
Wednesday
with
stories
we didn't cover here. So.
Yeah. Wednesday with an early review of Alien Romulus, and then Friday our normal Film Threat live cast. Thank you, everyone. I love doing this every Monday. I get to talk to my favorite nerds. This is really fun. So we'll be back next week. All right, and Elaine, the big win with the new Avatar is we don't even need to do a poll. Very popular.
Thank you.
So thank you, everyone. See you next week. Bye-bye. Yeah, that's how we do it. That's